On New Year's Day, we got the release of Season 3 of Cobra Kai, and it definitely kicks some ass. So let's get into it. Welcome to Silver Screen Talk. My name is Luke Lapointe. I started this channel because movies are a big part of my life, and I want to talk about them with people who care about them as much as I do. With that, remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And most importantly, I want to hear you down in that comment section. Have you seen Cobra Kai yet? Have you seen Season 3 yet? Are you going to watch the whole thing? Are you going to binge the whole thing? I want to hear that down in the comment section. I want to hear what you have to say about the show. What do you have to hear about my thoughts? I want to hear it all. So let's get into it now. So on New Year's Day, we got Season 3 of Cobra Kai, and I loved it just as much as the first two. And just like the other two seasons, it has a really good sense of nostalgia. All the callbacks matter. All the references to the original movies mean something to the plot and drive it forward, whether that be Danny or Danny teaching Miguel or Sam or whoever. It really serves to drive the plot. And you have some really fun, great performances from characters from the original movies. And what I like is that these characters, not like, Johnny or Daniel, but these quick characters don't overstay their welcome. In particular, I really like Daniel's trip to Okinawa. I think it was a very moving, impactful, memorable scene that brought us back to some characters from Karate Kid 2, and also delivered some very heartwarming moments between, Daniel and memories of Miyagi, and also some teaching moments, some learning moments for Daniel that he applies later in the season. In addition, one of my biggest excitements and fears about Season 3 was how they were going to use Allie Mills in the season. That's Elizabeth Shue's character. And I think she was used the right way. Like I said, with the other characters, she wasn't overused. She was used the right amount, and she used to serve the plot forward. She did her job. She did that in the right amount of time, and I think it just brought us back. Like I said, another great callback to the original movies, especially the original Karate Kid, which I absolutely love. I grew up watching, and it just brought back that sense of nostalgia. And just like the callbacks to the original movies, everything that happens in this season matters. Every little thing that is said, everything that happens, every little piece of character development from the first half of the season has a payoff in the second half of the season that works really well. And you know it's coming, or you know something is coming, and when it does, it feels really well earned. Plot-wise, I like Season 3 a lot more than Season 2. I think it was a lot more focused and dramatic. It can be really funny at times, like this show can be. It's a little campy, kind of like the Karate Kid movies were. But it's much more dramatic because it focuses on the consequences of the finale of Season 2, which is a good thing because you can't just brush off what happened in that major high school fight from the finale of Season 2. The entire city, the entire cast suffers from those consequences, whether it be the dojos, whether it be specific characters. Everyone suffers from that consequence one way or another, and I think that was a very important thing to include. I also think the character development is done really well in this season, especially with Johnny. Cobra Kai is Johnny's show. From Season 1 to Season 3, this has really all been about Johnny's growth. And I think what they did is put him in a similar position, a new low, similar to Season 1, and he has to build up again, especially with Miguel. Very similar dynamics to Season 1 with different situations. You also have great character development for some of our teenage characters like Tori or Hawk, and especially Robbie. And I like Robbie's turn that he has throughout the season because it makes sense. What happens is that he feels abandoned or he feels let down by his two mentors, his two father figures in Daniel and Johnny. And so his turn makes a lot of sense, and I think that is going to be very, very interesting heading into Season 4 of the show. You also have some really interesting character development on Kreese. In the original movies, Kreese was just the asshole. He was just a terrible person, a terrible sensei, and he is still terrible, but it was very interesting to see where all that personality where all that just kind of terrible juju came from. And I think it was interesting to say the least. As always, the fight choreography is done really well. I love how they do. I love karate. I trained karate for years and years. I'm a black belt. I've done boxing, I've done a little bit of judo. And so I love when this type of stuff is portrayed on screen. And what I love about our fight choreography, not only is that it's really good, is that its use of long take and circular motions of the camera. What that does is it puts the audience in the fight. It makes you feel like you're part of the fight. And it also sets up some really good continuity so that when you want to focus on a specific melee, that it makes sense of what part of the fight that you are in. And, particularly if you look at the last episode of the season, which are major melee between the Cobra Kai and the Eagle Fang / Miyagi-Do, that is a very well done fight. Very similar to the high school fight from season 2. Thought that was very well done. Really enjoyed that and had a lot of respect for how they shot those scenes. And this was just a very entertaining season of TV. And what was great about season 3 of Cobra Kai is that each episode was a complete story, but it factored into a larger plot. So there was sometimes in TV there are episodes that are more boring because they just are filler. Nothing is filler in this season. It all matters, like I said, and each episode of all the 10 episodes is interesting, and then it leads into the next episode with one a reveal or a cliffhanger or something, and so it makes you wanting more. And I wish this show was longer than 10 episodes a season, because I'm a binge guy. I love to binge stuff, and that's basically 5.5, 6 hours worth of binging. I can do a lot more than that, and so I wish I had more material to binge. In addition, I think they set up season 4 really well. I had a feeling like they were going to do a season 4 of this show. I didn't really do much research into whether season 4 had been greenlit or not, but now, based on our ending to the last episode, to the season finale, there is 100% going to be a season 4, especially because of the response that season 3 is getting right now. And I think it's set up really well, like I said, with Robbie's turn and kind of bringing Johnny and Daniel together. I think you're going to have a really, really fun, interesting season 4 that might bring it back to the show back to the movie's roots a little bit, to the original Karate Kid roots, the way that season 1 did. So I'm very excited to see what they do with that. There were some things that were just not as good as the highs. There were really, really high highs in this season, and there were some lows. Not low lows, but there were some lows. First off, there's an inherent goofiness to this show about warring dojos. Like I said, I did Taekwondo, I did karate, I'm a black belt. In all my years doing it, I don't think I've ever encountered warring dojos where you basically have gangs because of the dojos. Yeah, it's just not realistic. It's a lot of fun, especially in our setting with the show, whatever. It's just not realistic. So there has to be some suspension of disbelief. There has to be some suspension of disbelief in the way things go on, especially the consequences. Sometimes there's not enough consequences, So like I said, there has to be some suspension of disbelief when you're watching the show because it is inherently goofy. In addition, because this was a very plot-focused season and there were a lot of subplots, I feel like there was a little disconnect between the characters, and there wasn't as much chemistry on screen between some of our teenage characters, especially some from our warring factions. And so it didn't take a lot out of the plot, but it's something you definitely noticed. And lastly, Kreese's character development for me, his flashbacks felt a little bit over the top. You could have done this in a much easier way. He's a Vietnam veteran. PTSD is a big part of that. People see some stuff over there, and so you could have done that a more typical route, and I think it would have gone better. Like some of the stuff they did at his POW camp and bringing Cobras into this. It's like a way to explain it, but it's too over the top, and so it doesn't make sense because his character is not super over the top. He's just an asshole. And so there's ways that you could do character development to just make him an asshole and not over the top. Before I get into my scores, if you like this review and want to see more of my reviews, this is my first TV review, but if you want to see more of my movie reviews, click up above to be taken to that playlist. Now, This is a season that I really loved. This is one of my favorite shows out there right now, and I really enjoyed it. I cannot wait for season 4. Season 4 cannot come out soon enough. And using my brain score, think as a critic, I'm going to give this a 91%. This is a great show with so many things going for it. There are some things, little detractors that didn't make it perfect, but it was still an excellent season of TV. Using my heart score as a martial artist, as a lover of the shows, a lover of the Karate Kid movies, I'm going to give this a 98%. I really enjoyed this season. I loved so much about it, and I cannot wait for season 4. And that's a review. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And I want to hear you down in that comment section. If you've seen the season, what have you thought about it? What are you hoping for season 4? If you're going to see it, if you're going to binge the entire season, let me know what you want out of this season. Thank you so much, and keep on loving movies as much as I do.